Uh, Welcome everyone. Okay, Arjika, have you joined? Have you joined? All right. Okay. So let's start our class today. Today we will take up another short story from your syllabus, uh, and the title is "The Lost Spring." Before I get into the story, let me ask you something. What is the significance of the word spring to you? What is the significance of the word spring to you? What does spring signify? According to you, what does spring signify? Or what are the words that you would like to associate with the word spring? That's better. Let's take the question in this way. What are the words, okay, that you would like to associate with the word spring? First, let me hear something from you, then I'll get into the story. If you are listening, then please write down few words or tell me few words. Okay. Joy, warmth, ray of hope. Very good. So to you, spring is associated with joy, it is associated with warmth, ray of hope. Very good. I would also like to add few more words. Spring is associated with colors, it is associated with youth, okay, it is associated with new life, because we all know that spring is the season that comes after winter, when winter is such a time when nature goes off to sleep, or it becomes bare in a way, and again with spring new life springs up. Okay, new life blossoms, new life blooms in the nature. Okay, so with spring we can associate these colors, these words: colors, youth, new life. Okay, now, so youth means what? Youth is, it means, it comes from the word young. Okay, because in spring, new before the flowers bloom, we can see the buds. Okay, buds, they appear in the springtime. So youth means young. Okay, young age, young life, new life. So basically, if we try to associate this season or the word spring with human life, then we would say, or we can say that spring signifies childhood in human life, right? Spring signifies childhood in human life, because see, children are bright, they are colorful, they are full of spirit, they are full of energy, just as nature is during springtime, isn't it? During spring, because in winter, nature, what I said, nature goes off to sleep, and with spring it again rises up. Okay, it brightens up, it again gets back to its own life, isn't it? So, similarly, children are also full of colors, they are vibrant, and as you said, they also, children also are bundles of joy. Yes, we always call little children to be little bundles of joy. They are always, they bring happiness around us. When children are around us, they always bring happiness to us. They always bring warmth around us. And of course, they are ray of hope, because it is through the children that the adults, they try to take their lives forward. It is the children who through their warmth, who through their positivity, always enables the adults to go through all their thick and thin of their lives, isn't it? So that's why I would say the word spring is always associated with childhood in human life. So, if we now look at the title of the story, we don't know what the story is. So, just by looking at the title, we we can gather this idea that the story might speak about the lost warmth, or a lost joy, or a lost childhood. Okay, lost colors. So it may deal with such themes, isn't it? So we'll come to know what the story deals with once we get into the story. Now, uh, if you have read the story, then you might have come to know the main theme. It deals with children belonging to, or it deals with the lives of the children, the worlds of the children, uh, belonging to not, definitely not the affluent or well-to-do classes, but actually who belong to the poor section, who comes from the children who come from uh, a poverty-stricken background. Yes. Now, discussing this, before discussing this, let me just give you a brief introduction to not to the story, but a general introduction. Okay, see, in today's century, that is in the 21st century, as you know, the world has moved quite ahead. Okay, we have moved quite ahead in ourselves, where the world has moved to quite a great height in terms of technology, because today's the blessing, the best blessing uh, to human beings is, of course, technology. Yes. So with the help of technology, The world has moved to quite a great height, and as a result, even a 4-year child today knows to adopt to the systems of digital learning and virtual learning. In just because of this technology, you all know this the trend of this virtual learning in today's circumstances, related to today's circumstance, is only possible due to this great advancement in technology, and even a little child knows everything about computers. But there is, pathetically sad enough, there is still a large mass of children in India and in other parts of the world too, who are not so blessed enough uh, to see the lights of childhood, to see the light of childhood, to see the colors of childhood, to enjoy the warmth of childhood. They are not so blessed. No education, no school, and in a way, no youth has been gifted to them by God. These children, there are millions of children across the world, especially in countries like India. You can copy this down, okay? Countries like India, across the world, countries like India, who are not blessed enough to see the colors of childhood, no education, no school, and in a way, no youth has been gifted to them by God. See, this is a general introduction, okay? A general introduction to the story, not to the story, of the present scenario of the world, which is very much related to this story. Until and unless you understand this scenario, you won't be able to empathize with the characters that you come across in the story. Okay, all right. So now, why do I say this? Why do I say that there are millions of children who are not blessed enough to see the colors of childhood? Because at a tender age, when they are supposed or when they are expected to live in their own colorful worlds of imagination and laugh and play around, these children have to learn to earn bread for their families. Instead of learning the alphabet, they learn the ways of bringing money to make ends meet, and in the process, their innocence gets snatched away, childhood gets lost, and hence the story, The Lost Spring. All right, so let's now start the story. Let's see. Today I will read the story, okay, and while reading, I'll give you the explanations, and from the next day onwards, I'll take up the question and answer parts, okay. Okay, so should I start reading the story? All right. So over here, the story starts like this. We have a short the a subheading, or uh, a one liner like this, that sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. So with this sentence, you can at least get the sense get the sense of the theme, or of the message that the story is trying to bring to us, is trying to deliver to us. Rupee in the garbage. See, garbage, waste materials, and of course, garbage is something which we dispose of, and we hate to keep it with us, right? Even if you pass by a garbage vat, we most of the time what we do most of the time what every time what we do, we cover our noses, we cover our faces, so that we stay away from uh, that filthy, smelly thing, isn't it? But there is someone, we don't know who, this I, who is uttering these words. To that person, uh, the garbage is a source of finding a rupee, money. Okay, rupee, rupee is money, and it is, of course, or the word signifies uh, earning. Okay, earning, livelihood, everything. So there is someone for whom the garbage is something which he doesn't dispose of. Rather, it is the very source for him to earn money. Okay, so let's see who the person is. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago. Set amidst the green fields of Dhaka, his home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left, looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. So, the narrator of the story, he comes across this boy named Sahib, whom he finds uh, to to be scrounging, okay, scrounging for something in the garbage. In our neighborhoods, most of us, we have garbage vats around, but nowadays we don't see pickers so much. But just 5 to 6 years back also, rack pickers were like could be seen on the streets of the city, Kolkata or on the streets of the other cities in India. And you know, the work, the job of these people is to dig into the garbage heaps and take out god knows what, because like sometimes we see they are taking out bottles, plastic bottles, cans, maybe papers sometimes. So we don't understand, because we actually throw those things away, we don't need them. But these people, their lives depend on those dirty, filthy things which are disposed of by the society. Okay, all right. So a similar scene is encountered by the narrator of the story every morning, and he sees a boy named Sahib who always looks for something in the garbage. Now, over here, the narrator says gold, looks, you know, looking for gold. Do you think the word gold literally means the metal gold which we make ornaments out of? Absolutely, it is gold to them. So basically, what do you mean by the word gold over here? Just give me one word that comes to your mind associated with the word gold. Wrapped in wonder. Okay, very good. In the simplest way, in the simplest way, gold is something which means to be extremely precious, priceless, isn't it? Gold is something which is priceless to all of us, to each and every one of us in the world, right? It is extremely precious. So, similarly, these garbage heaps were as precious, as priceless to these people like Sahib as gold is to the world. Yes, yes, very true, and precious too. So, basically, these garbage heaps were as precious to Sahib as gold is to the world, to every one of us. So, a brief history of Sahib's life. So, Sahib hails from Dhaka, that's Bangladesh, and he doesn't remember anything about his, like, he just remembers that they had left their home, because that is still very much freshly etched in his memory. Because you know, memories like leaving your home, losing your near and dear ones, they never, you never lose such memories. Okay, you might not remember the detailings or the details of your past, but these incidents you always remember. So similarly, for Sahib also, he only remembers the memory of leaving their house, leaving their home in Dhaka, and he has always heard it from his mother that how the storms, because you know, Bangladesh is a country where these cyclones, they really have a great effect on the lives of the common people or the poor people. Okay, so he remembers, or he has heard from his mother many a times, how the storms, okay, have destroyed, have destructed their homes over there, destructed the fields and their livelihoods. So that's why they had to leave their home, leave their motherland, leave their country, and come to India in search of food. Okay, in search of food. Since history, you always remember, since history, man is, moving from place to place only in search of food, isn't it? Only in search of food. Now, even people like us who have everything, even then we move for better places, right? Why? That is also for food. That is also for food. That is also for a better way of living, isn't it? So man always moves from one place to another in search of food. And definitely for these people who have lost everything in their lives, who have not seen anything, so for them, of course, just to meet to just to meet ends is enough. Okay, just to earn a day's bread is enough for them, more than enough. So they had shifted to India in search of food. And see, looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. So they have come here to look for gold, that is to look for money, to look for because if they get a job, if they find a way of earning money, that would be extremely precious to them. That's why over here he says looking for gold. Okay, looking for a job, looking for a source to earn money, looking for a way in which they could stay alive, they could survive. Okay, survival, because man's life is the most precious thing to one, isn't it? Yes. So that's why. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. When the narrator asks him, why do you do this? He just simply answers, I have nothing else to do. What else to be done for me? Okay. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice might sound. How hollow, how meaningless, how baseless the advice. Because the narrator also knew that it's never possible for children like Sahib to make it to a school or to make it to a classroom, isn't it? Yes. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. If I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. Since Sahib said there is no school in my neighborhood, so quite naturally, in a joking way, the narrator said, so fine, your neighborhood doesn't have a school. So if I start a school, will you join? So he just wants to assess, the narrator over here wants to assess whether the child, Sahib, is interested to receive education at all. All right. So just by this question, like he might say this just for the sake of taking the conversation forward. Okay, just write this down. You can underline the sentence over there, that if I start a school, will you come? Half joking. This portion. So the narrator might say this, either in order to take the conversation forward, or to assess whether Sahib was interested to receive education at all. Copy this down. This is important. Okay. And the moment the narrator says this, immediately the boy says yes, smiling broadly. Smiling broadly. So the smile on his face says everything. That these children, like Sahib, they always dream to go to a school. It is as if, just the very comment, just the very question that if I start a school, would you like to join? This very question lights up, lights up the flame of hope, lights up the flames of dreams in the child Sahib. Yes, the smile said it all. So basically, these children, they dream to go to a school, they dream to learn, they dream to grow big like other children. But just because of their fate, they cannot. And the moment the child heard this, instantly he jumped up to the offer. He jumped up in joy. He was overwhelmed. Okay, the child was overwhelmed to hear this, and immediately it lighted up his dreams, lighted up his, lighted up his expectations deep within himself, that he might get a chance to educate himself too, like the other children. Yes, but they don't get an opportunity. Very true, very true. All right. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? So underline this and try to understand that Sahib had already started dreaming about going to the school. So just imagine how eagerly these children wait for receiving education, for taking a book and a pen in their hands. How eagerly these children wait, isn't it? Because after all, education is something which they see that, just like children who don't get to see their families, children who, suppose a child who stays with his family, and a child who doesn't. Okay, what happens to the child who doesn't? When he comes across this child, he always starts dreaming to have a family of, family like his friend too. So similarly, children who don't receive education, children who never go to school, they also dream to go to a school. And Sahib had already, so underline this sentence and write down that Sahib had already started to dream of going to a school. Okay, Sahib had already started. So this line suggests that Sahib had already started dreaming of going to the school that the author or the narrator builds. Because uh, except the author, okay, excepting the author or the narrator, there was no one else, or there is no one else. Sahib knows that there is no one else who will give him a chance, who will give him an opportunity to take a book and turn the pages over and learn the alphabet. Okay, as I said, it takes longer to build a school. I say embarrassed, because the narrator did not expect, because he just said this in a joking manner, just to, as I said, just to take the conversation forward, or just to see whether children like Sahib uh, are really interested to receive education or not. Uh, but he never knew, he never expected that the child would so much would be so much eager, would be waiting for his school to start so eagerly. So embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. So, as I said, he didn't say this very seriously. He didn't take his words very seriously, whereas Sahib took. So, here was the embarrassment he had. Now, he was feeling embarrassed for making a false promise. Okay. Yes. So, over here, you just write that the narrator was feeling embarrassed for having made a false promise. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. Promises like mine. So, just like this man, this narrator had promised him, or had told him, or rather had made him dream about a school. There are many, many, many other people in the world who always tell quite a few things to these children, to these people, but at the end, nobody turns up. Nobody turns up to make their lives change, to change their lives. So this is what he says: by in like mine abound. So there are millions of other such promises made by people around them, uh, who keep the bleak, the meager, okay, the bleak means what, the very simple worlds of these children lighted up. Okay, they never lose hope, they never lose expectations, they never lose their dreams. So such promises made by such false promises made by people all around keep these children's dreams ignited. After months of knowing him, I ask him his name. Sahib e Alam, he announces. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. You just underline the name and write irony beside it. You can understand what the irony is. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. What is the irony? Irony is his name suggests, or his name means, a king. A king who is the Lord of the universe, who uh, who has the universe under his control. But he is actually, he belongs to a class, he belongs to a society that is always, as I said, within single inverted commas you can write, but ironically Sahib belongs to the class that is normally disposed of by the world, by the universe. His name means Lord of the universe, but ironically, he belongs to a class that is disposed of, and write this word within single inverted commas, disposed of, OF, not OFF, that is disposed of by the universe. All right. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Underline this entire sentence. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends. So, unaware of what his name means, he moves around, he roams about the streets just like a prince. Just like, so he has that princely gait, he has that princely attitude. uh, uh, he roams the streets with his friends, just like a prince, hikes through the jungle, uh, hunting around with his friends. An army of barefoot boys, an army. So the children, his friends, are like an army to a prince. They are always there, as if they are protecting their king, they are protecting their prince, uh, and just guarding him, and together they are running. But just look at the word barefoot boys. Barefoot, shoes, their feet are bare, no shoes on them. All right. So over here, you can underline the word barefoot and write. See, shoes, it is said that you can judge a man's uh, class, you can judge a man's standard by looking at his shoes. There is a common saying in English that you can judge a man's standard, you can judge a man's class by looking at his shoes. So over here, the boys didn't have shoes at all. So you can understand what it tries to suggest. Who appear like the morning birds and disappear at. So these boys are compared to morning birds. They are compared to birds. Free, okay, free, full of spirit, full of energy, beautiful, small little creatures, okay, who are nothing but, as I said, bundles of joy. So birds, they signify freedom. So similarly, these children were actually, they were very much happy in their own worlds. In their own worlds, they were as happy, as free, as high spirited like the morning birds, who disappear by noon. So by noon, okay, by noon time, when the morning sun, afternoon, the morning sun also starts to set. Okay, it also goes to the western sky. So with the morning sun, that is, with a new day, with a new hope, these children, they come out on the streets, and by noon, like as the day starts to set, these children, they again disappear and wait for another new morning, another new day to start with another new hope. Okay, did you follow me? Did you follow the explanation over here? Why do these children, or why have these children been compared to morning birds? All right. Okay. If you don't follow some any explanation, do tell me. I'll stop and I'll repeat. Okay. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. So with time, so see again, underline this sentence, and this sentence suggests that the narrator had also started taking interest in these boys. He had also started connecting himself to these boys, to these little children. So that's why, because or else he wouldn't have noticed them, he wouldn't have taken any like they wouldn't he wouldn't have brought those children to his concern, right? So it shows that every day he looks at those boys, he studies them, and he watches them every day. And that's why with each over the months, over time, he has now started to recognize them. Because every day you go to school, you go to we go to offices, and we pass the same streets, okay, we pass the same shops, and of course we pass the same shopkeeper, we pass the same beggar. But do we really remember each one of them? No. Or can we recognize a particular beggar if we find him or her in some other place? No. That's because we don't take any interest, we don't pay any attention to those people. Yes, but this narrator, it shows that he had started taking interest in these boys, and maybe that's why he used to watch these boys regularly, and as a result of which, with time, he has now started recognizing each one of them. Okay, so he has started connecting himself with these boys. All right. Just I'll stop over here. Okay. I won't end the stream here. Okay, I just give you a 5 minutes break and I'll come back. Okay, not also 5 minutes, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, and I'm coming back right now. Okay. Acha, wait. Fine. Acha, I'll end the stream over here. I'll end the stream over here, and then again I'll send you a link. হয়ে গেছে, end হয়ে গেছে।